Can you hear me now? I think now it's okay. Sorry, I maybe accidentally turned off the mic. So today my topic is the masters that inspired me. Today we talk about introduce Kumārajīva, one of the greatest translators and awakened being in the history of Buddhism development or evolution. But before that, let's sit in silence for a couple minutes. Or you may check the link I have pasted in the chat. Okay. Okay, that's a couple of minutes. Maybe we can start now to study one of the masters and the translators that inspired me is Kumārajīva. So I'll paste here again in the chat. To make sure we are in the same page, on the same page. So if you go to the top, the continuation of the Dharma is credited not only to Indian masters who took the teachings of Buddha from India to China, but also to the Chinese masters who traveled to India to request for the sutra and to carry them as a treasure back to China. All of them, with their elegant Chinese translation of the Sanskrit text, made a crucial contribution to preserving and propagating the Dharma in China and later on to all the East Asia, like Korean, Japan, different countries, right? Credit is also due to the Chinese emperors who revered the Buddhist masters and supported the Dharma. So you see, credit is also due to Chinese emperors, because in China there's a very special event that some emperors or kings at that time love Buddhism and they support Buddhism. They organize a group of people, even up to 3,000, like a translation bureaus. Imagine that organization, that big size schedule. From maybe 20, 30 to hundreds to 3,000 translators. I mean, they surely had different division of the work. So here I want to point out credit is also due to the Chinese emperors who revered the Buddhist masters and supported the Dharma and Dharma propagating, right? And including the translation. The life story of a few of the masters related below in chronological order are based on Wikipedia, the free, as well as the 7-volume 佛观大词典, 佛光山, I think it's in Taiwan, a Buddhist light dictionary published by Foguan Publishing. So thankful for all this dictionary and also the author of this page too. So if you go, the first one, Ansugao and Nokan Sema, fourth one, fifth one. Then I think Kumārajīva is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one is Kumārajīva. We may talk about other masters later, but I want to focus on Kumārajīva because he translated Diamond Sutra, Lotus Sutra, a lot of very important Mahayana sutras. So if I can maybe paste a little bit his sutras. Vimalakirti Sutra, Lotus Sutra, Diamond Sutra, Prajna Paramita Sutra. So all these are very, very important sutras in Mahayana Buddhism, lay the foundation of the Buddhism evolution in China, in whole East Asia too. So back to Kumārajīva. Kumārajīva, 344 to 413. So almost 70 years lifespan. Kumārajīva means youth life. He's one of the 4 great sutra translators in China. 玄奘, Yi Jing. I missed one. So one of the 4. He lived during the turbulent period of 16 kingdoms, which is from 304 to 439, which posed a threat to East Jin dynasty, Dongjing, Eastern Jin dynasty. His father, Kumārajīva, was from a noble family in India who went to Kucha, in present-day Aksa, Xinjiang, China, and married the king's sister, Princess Jiva. You see, Kumārajīva is something like his name is from both his parents, father Kumārajīva and mother Jiva. Very interesting, right? From the union, Kumārajīva was born. Jiva renounced family life. The mother renounced family life when Kumārajīva was 7. Mother and son traveled in India, studying under renowned Buddhist masters. Even at such a young age, Kumārajīva had already committed to mention many sutras and texts, and his name was heard throughout the 5 kingdoms of India. At 12, he traveled with his mother to Tulufan or Turfan, now an OS city in Xinjiang, China. But the king of Kucha went to Turfan to ask him to return to Kucha. So he returned to his homeland, and stayed there until the destiny called. Okay, now interesting part is coming. Then Fujian, the ruler of former Qing kingdom in China, had heard of his marvelous Kumārajīva and wanted to bring him China. So in 382, he sent his general Lu Guang to conquer Kucha, only for Kumārajīva. So the general led an army of 70,000 soldiers to conquer Kucha, to bring Kumārajīva to China. That's all the former Qing kingdom emperor Fujian's idea. So imagine you are a king. You heard about a famous sage, and you want bring him or her to your court. So you send 70,000 soldiers to conquer a country or nation. Just bring that sage to your court, or close to you. Imagine that kind of thing. Very interesting, right? So again, Fujian, the ruler of former Qing kingdom, sent 70,000 soldiers led by General Lu Guang to conquer Kucha and bring Kumārajīva to his kingdom, the former Qing. And listen carefully, very interesting happened. And Kucha fell the next year, and Lu Guang captured Kumārajīva. On the way to China, Lu Guang, maybe takes a couple of months back to the later Qing. On the way to China, Lu Guang got the news that Fujian, the emperor of the former Qing, had been defeated in the battle of the Huihe River. So 淝河战役, so very famous. You can double check it here. So it said a battle won by like 80,000 soldiers against 800,000 soldiers. So it's very famous battle in the whole Chinese history. We call it the Fei River, the Battle of Fei River. Maybe I just paste this important notice here in the chat. Okay, just for you to read them more in the details. Okay, again, very interesting story happened here. And on their way to China, Lu Guang got the news that Fujian, the former Qing emperor, had been defeated in the Battle of Fei River, and the Lu Guang, the general who was sent by the emperor to capture Kumārajīva, settled in Liangzhou in present-day Gansu province and founded a state called Houliang. Now, because the general has no king to follow or emperor to follow, so he declared independent and become a king or emperor himself. Very interesting, right? With 70,000 soldiers, you may choose to do that too. Then for 17 years, Kumārajīva was detained there, in Gansu province, Liangzhou. And Kumārajīva was badly treated because the general Lu Guang didn't believe any Buddhism. He was just a general, right? Anyway, Kumārajīva was detained there, badly treated for 17 years. Actually, that's why he studied a lot of very familiar with Chinese, the language. And later on, you see this 70 years of being detained, he learned a lot of Chinese. That's why he can translate the sutras from Sanskrit to Chinese. Finally, Yao Xing, another ruler of the later Qing, conquered Liang, the later Liang, defeated the general Lu Guang, right? And took Kumārajīva to China. Should be the capital Nanjing. Then in 401, Kumārajīva arrived in Chang'an, should be Xi'an now, Xi'an area, China's capital, and Yao Xing honored him as the imperial teacher and forced him to marry 10 women for the purpose of producing descendants of his caliber. You understand here? So another emperor, Yao Xing, highly honored him, but forced him to marry 10 women for the purpose of producing descendants of his caliber. Because at that time, Kumārajīva was very smart, wise, even good-looking, even with a huge fame. So the king asked him to marry 10 women to have kids, to producing descendants. Then he stayed at and he refused. Oh, cool. But he stayed at the Shaoyaoyuan and began his great translation work with a team of assistants. So that's why we could read Diamond Sutra, we can read Lotus Sutra, all and the Prajnaparamita Sutra. We should pay respect to Kumārajīva, his legendary history. During the rest of his life, he translated from Sanskrit to Chinese 74 texts in 384 fascicles, including Amitabha Sutra, which is the most important sutra in the Pure Land school of Buddhism, the Mahaprajnaparamita Sutra, 大般若智慧经, And the Diamond Sutra, Diamond Sutra is very popular now. And the Heart Sutra, which is only a 108 Chinese characters, very condensed teaching from Buddha. Then Diamond Sutra is around 5,100 Chinese characters. So it's like Diamond Sutra is like an expansion or more detailed sutra than Heart Sutra, which has only 108 Chinese characters. And the Lotus Sutra, 妙法莲华经, and the Vimalakirti Sutra. I talked about this Vimalakirti Sutra before because it's the very sutra that has the idea of non-duality. If you know or heard about non-duality, which is very popular now in North America. So actually in Buddhism teaching, we have this Vimalakirti Sutra as an example of non-duality teaching from Buddha. Anyway, Kumārajīva translated lots of very classical, important, fundamental sutras. And he translated a lot of treatises, such as Maha Prajna Paramita Sutra. And Kumārajīva fluid and elegant translations greatly contributed to the propagation of the Dharma in China. Before his death, he said that if his translations were truthful, his tongue would not be destroyed by fire. After cremation of his body, indeed, his tongue was found intact. I'll read it again. So, as a translator, you want to make sure your translation was authentic, right? Was very accurate. So before his death, he said that if his translations were truthful, then his tongue would not destroyed by the fire during the cremation, right? So after cremation, his body indeed, after a whole body's cremation, his tongue was found intact. He has a golden tongue that even fire cannot burn it. Kumārajīva. Such a beautiful story. He was detained for 16 years by a ruler or by General Lü Guang, and badly treated by Lü Guang because the General Lü Guang was not a Buddhist. And in the very 16 years of detaining, he learned Chinese and translated all these important sutras from Sanskrit to Chinese. And that's why later on there's other translations from Chinese to Japanese to Korean to English, right? So you see the origin is here. Any questions here? So that's like a kind of information from a web called the Buddhist Masters. But now I pasted another link from Wikipedia, and we may go through because Wikipedia here has more detailed information, and I will pick up the most important info here for you for your reference.鳩摩羅什 in Chinese we call 鳩摩羅什 or Kumārajīva, was a Buddhist monk, scholar, missionary, and a translator from the kingdom of Kucha, now Akusu, Xinjiang, China. Kumārajīva is seen as one of the greatest translators of Chinese Buddhism because his translations are unparalleled either in terms of translation technique or degree of fidelity. That means he very accurate in translation Buddha's idea, because he was an awakened one. He was enlightened, right? Okay, there's an interesting part here. Hopefully you're reading it yourself too. So in the Wikipedia link, in the middle, there's a chapter called Original Works and Philosophy. So almost at the end of this chapter, Original Works and Philosophy, there's a paragraph. Like both the Prajna Paramita Sutras and the Madhyamaka commentaries, Kumārajīva says that Buddha's teachings ultimately come from and lead us to a level beyond words and thought. So I want to remind you that at the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, there's no sutras. Okay? It's just like a teacher, like word by word, mind to mind, heart to heart. It's a direct teaching. There's no recordings of his teaching. It is after his death or parinirvana, then there's Ananda, the disciple, one of the 10 main disciples. Ananda tried to record his teaching. That's the origin of the sutras and the commentaries. Okay, so actually, I agree with. That's kind of like a Chan or Zen Buddhist teaching. They transcend any words and languages because the true teaching of Buddha is beyond words and ideas. That's why Kumārajīva says that the Buddha's teaching ultimate come from and lead us to a level beyond words and thought, because the Buddha and the Bodhisattva reside in this transcendent realm, which is none other than our present world. I would say it's a pure mind. It's a pure mind without any condition, without any defilement. And their wisdom enables them to use various upaya or techniques, convenient way to lead suffering beings to enlightenment. Apparent contradictions and confusions in Buddhist texts are due to their upaya, which accommodate to audience level and lead them to the truth. So all the sutras or commentaries is a fingers that pointing to the moon. The fingers pointing to the moon is not moon. So you, the listener or the audience or the reader of these sutras, should use the pointers like fingers to look at the moon, which is already in your heart. Okay, that's the best analogy that we can use as a language, as a word to express that pointing. Kumārajīva even suggests that the teachings in the sutra may delude those who are not prepared or unprepared. You see, it's not the problem of the master's teaching, it's the problem of the conditioning of the disciple or students. A lower level understanding may not understand the essence of the Buddha's teaching. According to Kumārajīva, we truly understand the Dharma only when we attain complete and pure prajna or wisdom. So it's back to the sudden enlightenment and gradual cultivation. Prajna is the means of removing all obstacles and hindrances, all attachments, even attachment to self, to the itself. You see, or I use another analogy is, prajna is a means of removing all the clouds of the sky, big or small, that until removing all the clouds in the sky, and then the sky appears truly and purely. That's the metaphor to point to the prajna or wisdom or insight. Prajna is the means. In the Buddha's Dharma, the medicine of prajna is just like this. By this medicine, one demolishes the objects of addictions. If with prajna wisdom, being them, conceive addiction, the one must practice a method of treatment, like meditation, like mindfulness. If within prajna there are no addiction to prajna, then further treatment is not applied. You see, if you don't have ignorance, you don't need wisdom either. That's a kind of negation. We take medication only because when we're sick, right? So prajna is like the medication against to sickness or how to say disease. Make sense to you? Any question? You can ask if you do have any question. So these ideas are found in the 大智度论, the Mahayana, Mahaprajna, Paramita, Poseda, Padesa, 大智度论, a treatise. Various modern scholars also hold that 大智度论 or the Mahayana, Mahaprajna, Paramita, Padesa, which was traditionally held to be an original work of Nagarjuna, 龙树菩萨, that was translated by Kumārajīva team. You see, before Kumārajīva, many Chinese Buddhists had serious misunderstandings of emptiness and non-self. Before Kumārajīva, they don't truly understand Buddha's teaching. This is because they had been influenced by Neo-Taoist Xuanxue philosophy. Thus, they saw emptiness as either a kind of non-being, as a real or absolute substance, both of which are mistaken interpretations of the concept of śūnyatā or emptiness and the non-self or anatman. Kumārajīva and his students recognized these errors and worked to correct them by introducing proper interpretations based on Indian Madhyamaka philosophy. 中论, Madhyamaka, the middle way. Very interesting. Meditation for sickness. So, yeah, I'm in the business of health. So, health is a big topic. So if I ask you, does health mean that the lack or absence of the sickness? In other words, you're healthy because you don't have any disease or sickness. Is that true? Oh. And health means only physical health? Does it also include mental health, psychology? So to answer your question, Sabina, meditation works both for physical health and mental health. And beyond this, that it's good for spiritual health even. Even though spiritual is already healthy, complete and perfect. Yeah, health is a big topic. What's the ultimate health? You know who you are. That's a short way to say it. And one thing is, no matter how healthy you are now, one day you're gonna disappear. I mean, the body will go and we will die one day. Make sense? So no matter how healthy you are now, we'll die one day. So health, happiness, a normal or worldly understanding is a relative, is subject to time, you see. But the ultimate health is beyond time. If you can reach a level of immortality, you transcend birth and death. That's the ultimate health, right? So hard to explain. So you have to be there to catch me, to meet me. Uh, Again, why I said I want to have this topic of the masters that inspired me, because initially we need somebody or something to encourage us to follow. A master that inspired us can help us to understand him, start him, follow him, and become him, right? That's the purpose of this session today. We need someone to follow his or her steps. And in my experience, these masters really influenced me. make me cry. I was so touched by their story, by their effort, like Kumārajīva we talk about today. He was detained 17 years and be badly treated by General Lü Guang. And he used this difficult time to learn Chinese, to have the opportunity to translate so many, many beautiful awakening sutras that we can use today. Do you have any respect for them, including Kumārajīva? Do we have any gratitude for all these masters and for their huge effort for the Dharma teaching or Dharma propagation? Meditation for sickness, even in Chinese Taoism, 黄帝内经 in the inner canon of Emperor Huang, inner canon of Emperor Huang, 黄帝内经 we call it. So it's a classic textbook for Taoism or for any Chinese medicine. It's one of the 4 classes that laid foundation of Chinese medicine. 黄帝内经, even there's a verse in 黄帝内经 said, 精神内守, 病安从来. So if you are calm and still and not loving in your heart, there's very little opportunity for you to get sick. Do you follow? When you become calm, compassionate, and loving in your heart, when your energy is not consumed or exhausted by firing thoughts externally, you have very little possibility to get sick. You see, all the wisdoms are identical or same. 精神内守，病安从来。Okay, if no further question, maybe we can end this session. I will continue to introduce different masters in the future videos. Today we talk about Kumārajīva. Let's show our gratitude to this great master. Thank you, Sabina. Thanks for coming. See you tomorrow. I think. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Vancouver time. Bye now.